Hello everyone, in the last video I showed you how to set up your rundown in AP Emps. Now let's add some elements into the rundown. For the purposes of this video, we will be recreating a rundown from an episode of NewsVision, which usually begins with 3 headlines. Of course, this can vary depending on the type of show you're producing. Headlines, by the way, are short teases at the beginning of the show. Every slug or title should be written in all caps. So let's double click on the first line, A1, and write in capital letters, headlines, because it's the very first thing in our show. Remember that every item you put in the rundown will need to have its own line. You now need to assign what kind of segment it will be. So for headlines, we want video for each one we create, or a short soundbite as well, because this makes headlines look good. So let's make the first headline a VO. To do this, you will type VO under the segment column. Then to create another headline, go to A2, name it the same thing, headlines, in caps. Now you can see if it's the same story, named the same thing, it is going to combine A1 and A2 into a bigger segment. It is 2 separate lines, but it is the same segment. So now for the second headline, if we want to use the soundbite, we're going to put SOT VO. This means it will start on a short soundbite and will be followed by video. If I'm creating one more headline and I make a mistake and spell it headline instead of headlines, EMPS will not make it a part of that segment. So make sure you don't make a mistake and spell everything in the same segment correctly and the same so it will be grouped together. Once I correct myself and add another headlines, if I want to make it a VO again, I'm going to get this error message that says duplicate slug segment. Click OK and it will give you another chance to label the segment. Now you need to label this VO1 or VO2, just so it is not the same thing as the first headline, and EMPS will like it. It has to have a different name. So for example, if I add another story about, let's say, President Biden, I would name the first row Biden, then come over to the next column and write on cam if I want my anchor to read the first sentence on camera. Then if I want to add a VO after, I would write Biden again in the next row and under segment name, name it VO. Then it groups together like the headlines did. In the next tutorial video, I am going to be taking an old rundown from the UMTV show NewsVision and recreating it in EMPS to show all the different elements you could put into your rundown for your show.